As almost every single one of you watching know, the Texans have gotten rid of at least three of their starting offensive linemen. Maybe the time you watch this video, it's more than that. But the right guard, the left tackle, Laramie Tunsil, all the guys that started week one last year versus the Colts, where the Texans actually did a pretty good job on the offensive line, they're all gone. So now the question is,
what now? Let me tell you what now.
yeah, I'll tell you what now, Marcellus Wallace. You go out and you get a bunch of pipe-swinging badasses that want to play D'Amico Ryan's version of football. And the Laramie Tunsil part of this, I don't want to spend the next 5 weeks discussing whether or not it was the right thing to let Laramie Tunsil go or not. There were reasons that they were willing to part with him when they did. And the other day I talked a lot about his complete game and where there's parts of it where I think it's lacking a little bit, and that he's not a guy you necessarily want to be paying $20 million a year. It's that he hasn't necessarily been justifying his $20 million per year. When you have an offensive line that underperformed as drastically as they did, the question, and the very appropriate question that people ask around the league is, you had pass protection issues. Why the hell would you get rid of the best pass protector? If we keep just the salary side of it, $20 million a year to pay a guy who's really good at pass protection, doesn't care all that much about run blocking, doesn't care about screen blocking, doesn't care about staying on sides, all those things aside, you still have major problems. We saw that. The answer is, yeah, we had Laramie Tunsil. They still had pass protection issues. You need an entire offensive line. That $20 million in cap space, even though it's nice having somebody out there on that island at left tackle, they've got to rebuild the whole thing. And the $20 million they save this year, next year, whatever the total cap savings ended up being, that goes a long way towards, at the very least, finding and opportunistically getting veteran players, maybe via trade, maybe some of these guards. They've already signed Lake and Tomlinson. But to add a little context to it, there were a couple things said on Pat McAfee's show. One of them by Ian Rappaport. If this makes you feel any better about the Texans letting go of Laramie Tunsil, Pat McAfee said, hey, did other teams know that Laramie Tunsil was available?
Talked to some teams who are in the tackle market, and some of those teams opted for younger or cheaper versions.
Yeah, and that's the sum total of it. And then AQ Shipley on Pat McAfee's same episode, or on that same day, made a really good point that does raise your eyebrows a little bit when it comes to a team letting go of a franchise caliber left tackle.
Get a left tackle that's an absolute stud. Typically, you don't let those guys out of the building. I guess the concern is this is his third team already.
Yeah. And then he said, and he's under 30. He's not under 30. He's going to be 31 years old. There's a reason the Dolphins let go of him. Now, the Dolphins got a haul for him, and they were in rebuild mode. That made more sense. This was more curious to a lot of people for all those understandable reasons. I do think that based on nothing but film, I don't like to get into this talk about, well, no, he was cool in the locker room. No, he was toxic in the locker room. I don't know. There's people, I've been on football teams where there are dramas unfolding all around that I was oblivious to, or I don't know what guy is feuding with that I don't care. When it came to Laramie Tunsil's style of play, it's not in the style of D'Amico Ryan's. It's not a physical brand of football. It's not a brand of football that cares about the run. So they got to get guys that want to be complete football players across the board. And, Kenyon Green just did not develop. Shaq Mason, I think, he aged. He aged himself out of being a viable right guard. So they got to find replacements for those guys. But the notion that somehow you got to have all pros across the board, and especially at your tackle positions, this is, maybe I'm cherry picking a little bit here, but there's just so many examples of teams like the 2023 Chiefs who won a Super Bowl. I'm just going to, since PFF pass protection grades are all the rage these days, and that's all that some people seem to care about, this was that team. Don't worry about the grades right now. I'll show us side by side. Donovan Smith, left tackle. Joe Tooney, who didn't play in the Super Bowl because he was injured, he had the best pass protection grade. Creed Humphrey, it was a little bit of a lower grade for him than typical, but whatever. Trey Smith, 68. Juwan Taylor. If you compare that to week one of the Texans last year, obviously Laramie Tunsil, great PFF pass protection grade, which apparently is like your credit score these days. That's all that matters. But then you had Kenyon Green, obviously big deficit, so that can be improved upon. Nobody's upset about Kenyon Green getting traded for a really, really good football player in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Drew Scruggs, 63. Shaq Mason, 65. Titus Howard, 76.2. So Titus Howard had a better pass protection grade than any of the other offensive linemen, other than 3 of the offensive linemen for the Chiefs last year. But the Chiefs matched the eyeball test in terms of they had some studs on the interior, Joe Thuney and Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, all very good players. They got by with subpar offensive tackle play. They also have a guy named Pat Mahomes. They have a guy named Andy Reid. I'm not ignoring any of that. But a lot of the Texans being a viable offensive line, just being something other than an atrocity that they were last year, a lot of it just hinges on getting solid, steady players across the board. And you can win with that. Teams win with that all the time. If you get really good quarterback play, the O-line tend to grade out even better because the quarterback bails them out a little bit. It brings me to the reasons that I think I'm really falling more in love with Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama. If you look at, I didn't have to go long to pick out the plays that I wanted to watch. Tyler Booker from Alabama, and I know immediately the comparison is Will Anderson, but he's a left guard here. And I want you to watch, this is picking up a game or twist where you see the defensive end is coming inside and he picks it up well, locks him down, and then keep watching. I'm gonna kill you. The one thing I want you to watch here, though, because I want to point out the negatives too. You see that lean right there? He does that more than you'd like, and every single offensive lineman in the draft every single year has flaws that they've got to correct when they get to the NFL. If you're an NFL caliber defensive end and you see an offensive lineman leaning let's see, right there, you're going to get dumped on your face. He gets away with it because he's a big dude, and a lot of times he's blocking much smaller human beings. But he's got a physicality. I mean, the number of pancake blocks he had. Left guard here, again, really good punch. It wasn't even that great of a punch. It was just really good strength and torque. There's times where he has his hands too wide, and some of that is, O-line coaches coach that these days, but he does show evidence of using his hands with a punch at times. Left guard here, and I want you to see, I probably should have circled these guys, but I was late already. So left guard, does a really good job moving his feet. That wasn't like an overpowering or overly dominating one. And then here on a double team, I mean, there's just so many plays where he blocks guys out of the screen. This one, another coaching tip, he's going to pull on this play. And my first thought before I watched this play was, oh, this guy's pulling. I could tell by his alignment and his stance that he was pulling. That happens in the NFL too, and it's fun, those fat bastards, because you can read the play before it even begins. But when you see him pull, this isn't going to be an impressive pancake block or anything, but he balances up really well and makes solid contact really continuously. So for a guy that didn't test well at the combine, he does do some athletic things pretty well with anticipation and angles. I'm not worried about his poor combine showing. If anything, I'm hoping that that's what sends him all the way down to 25, or maybe somewhere where the Texans might want to trade up for him. Again, defensive end comes inside. He keeps his shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage, picks it up, and then, Paja! Ta! I sacrifice you to the gods. So, I like Tyler Booker. The other big thing about Tyler Booker is just what various people have said about him, including the DeBoer, the Alabama coach. He might be one of the best leaders I've ever been around. I know that's saying a lot because I've been around a lot of really good ones. When you put the guys in that category, he's really special, and it's because he takes care of business 100% of the time, and he's pushing others to make sure that they're at their best too. I think that's what great leaders do. Yada, yada, yada. He's a good leader. He went to Alabama. The comparison to Will Anderson is an easy one, and I know there's very few Will Andersons in the world. The thing that I really like about A, the physicality of the guy, but B, the fact that some of those things that he does need to clean up, I have the same reservations about Will Anderson. Will Anderson was raw, like really raw in a lot of respects as a pass rusher. And then you see, okay, over the course of his first 2 seasons, he got a lot more polished. He was doing stuff with his hands and feet at the end of the season last year that he was nowhere close to doing at the beginning of the year. So a lot of times with guys like Tyler Booker, you'll see people say, well, he's got bad hands, but they'll say this about any particular prospect. Well, he's got bad hands, but they can coach that. Well, he leans out over his feet too much, but they can coach that. It's not so simple to do. Like, these guys have received instruction and coaching before. Really, when it gets to the NFL, it's that, all right, when you're not the biggest, strongest dude on the field anymore, that's when it really hammers it home to guys that like, oh, I've got to clean this up. Or I'm not winning the way I used to in college. I got to get better at this stuff. And from a personality and football character standpoint, I think all the word of mouth on Tyler Booker is that he's very much like that. Let's see. Let's Seth finish his prep work. Looks like he's had the same career as Green so far, other than the injuries. Hey, it's a big. That's the. I don't know if you're talking. Okay, I don't know if you're talking about Tyler Booker or who else. I can't jump in on the middle of all of these. Yeah, listen. No circle, no pointers. Half the time you don't even say which guard. Okay, Scott. He's the left guard. Okay, Scott, when I showed you in the first frame that he was the left guard, did you expect all of a sudden for him to be the right tackle? He's the left guard. Damn it, Scott. We can't have this. Listen, I'll take one on the chin for not circling him beforehand, okay? I wanted to get this thing out by 3 p.m. or so, but he played left guard in those clips. The PFF grades are not good. I don't know if you're talking about if you're talking about Tyler Booker or not. Yeah, I don't care about PFF grades, other than just by way of just sometimes it's good to look at a team or whatever. I like to delve into the PFF grades a little bit just to point out that, for instance, with Laramie Tunsil, people love to point out that, oh, he's got such a high pass protection grade at left tackle. He must be the best left tackle who ever lived. But then they ignore his ESPN run block win rate, which put him as the 39th best tackle in the NFL this year. Like, you can play, it's like Bible quotations. You can find one to win your argument. You just got to look hard enough. So with Laramie, we watched it for years and years and years to see that he's just not the same of, what am I doing? I missed something. Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. What did I miss? I don't know. All right, so whatever I missed, I'm going to go check it right now. Apologies for the lack of circles. I'll try to be better about that next time. But I got to bring you guys the content. First and foremost, the content. If you want perfect production value or quality, go watch Mr. Beast, okay? I'm not Mr. Beast. I know you all want me to be Mr. Beast. That's not me, all right? I'm Seth. Glad to meet you.